Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kate and Eric Show podcast. If you can't tell, I'm a little sick, but I wanted to get this episode out because there was a lot to cover. There's a lot of things to talk about. I wanted to go over the eclipse that happened here, that went over Dallas, and much of the other parts of the country. So if I sound a little weird, I am sick. But I wanted to get this out there and talk about some things that have been going on in the country here. So I wanted to get this done. I'm gonna try my best to be peppy and my usual self, but we'll get through this. So welcome to the show. Thank you to everybody who listens and any new listeners, and those that continue to listen. Thank you very much. You can also follow me on Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and Truth Social. Kate and Eric Show on all of those different platforms. So let's get into this. Today, of course, going to the sports world. March Madness is officially over. The women's side, South Carolina beat Iowa in the national championship. So the Caitlin Clark story has come to an end as far as college goes. She'll probably go into the WNBA. And then UConn smashed Purdue. So UConn had an amazing run. I think they beat everybody by at least double digits. So March Madness is over, so hopefully your bracket did better than mine. I didn't bother looking because it's probably in the millions as far as all my brackets were. But congratulations to South Carolina and UConn on their respective national championship wins. And just in case you weren't aware of just how stupid this administration is, especially the vice president. I mean, you could say that for the president as well. But she clearly doesn't anything that she says, she has no idea what she's talking about, and then it's just word salads. But this particular clip here, I'm starting off early. Usually I go into sports for about 5 minutes or so, but this has to do with sports and just how dumb she really is. So just take a little listen here.
Do you know that the women's teams were not allowed to have brackets until 2022? Think about that, and talk about progress, better late than never, but progress, and what that has done, because of course when, I had a bracket, it's not broken completely, but I won't talk about my bracket, but just how we love March Madness, and even just now allowing the women to have brackets and what that does to encourage people to talk more about the women's teams, to watch them. Now they're being covered, and this is the reality. People used to say, oh, women's sports, who's interested? Well, if you can't see it, you won't be. But when you see it, you realize, oh.
So there has been a women's bracket since 1982. So no, it was not 2022 when the women's first had a bracket. It's been since 1982. They had a bracket of 32 teams, and it has gone up and it's gone down a little bit over the years, and then finally it's where it is right now with the same 64 teams, just like the men's. So yeah, there's been a women's bracket since 1982 in March Madness. But that's just dumb. Just absolutely dumb. So there's that part of it. So we'll get into that. And I also wanted to talk about the eclipse. It's just wonderful. It's a wonderful place to live right now here in the United States of Biden's America. But so baseball as well is underway. We're in about 14, 15 games. The Astros are struggling a little bit right now in the beginning. They are 4-10, which really sucks. And I really hate it. Our pitching right now is not very good. We just got swept again for the second time this year by the Kansas City Royals. And we got our butts kicked up there in Kansas City, so that was awful. And if you don't like the Astros and you're cheering this, well, congratulations. I'm having my doubts. But I was looking at our pitching, and we have all of our aces pretty much are on the injured list right now with some sort of injury. We've got Verlander who's coming back hopefully sometime soon. A relief pitcher has done the best for us right now. Renault Blanco, he threw the first no-hitter, almost threw a second no-hitter this year. I think he got one hit, and then that was broken up. But yeah, so it's not a very good start here for Astros baseball. But yeah, hopefully we'll get things turned around once we get our pitchers back. Then also the Masters is going on right now. I was just kind of checking that out here. And if you're into golf, I do love the Masters. I think it's an amazing. I think just the course is beautiful. And as of right now, we've got let's see, Bryson DeChambeau is up. He's got -9. Scotty Sheffield's, they're tied, and then so on and so forth. Let's see what the leaderboard says. So we've got Sheffield, they're tied for first. Homo Willett are in third and fourth. Let's see. Tiger Woods is always a big name. He was in there. Where is he at? Oh, there he is. He's +1 right now. So he's tied for 28th. So yeah, that's going on. It is Friday at the Masters, so the weekend will be fun to watch the Masters and everything. But yes, so that is the world of sports right now. So let's get into some of this other stuff. I'll probably I have a ton of clips to get to here. And due to my sickness and everything that's fun involved with that, it's just a cold, though. It's just more of an annoying cold, like a head cold kind of thing. So if I play a lot of clips and I don't talk very much, just bear with me here. But there are some things that I really, really wanted to get to on what is going on in the state of our country. First, there's a lot of Biden clips to get to. He visited Wisconsin. He had the president or prime minister of Japan in D.C., and he just made an absolute fool of himself, like always. But first, let's get into some things that he did say. Okay, so he's the man of the people, right? He's the man of the people. If you've done it, he's done it, and 10 times over. He relates to everybody in every circumstance that they're in. But let's just kind of take a little listen to some of the things that he's accomplished and some of the things that he's done while living his short 150,000-year life on this earth.
Raised in the Puerto Rican community. I had a very close relationship with the Greek American community, for real. I am Joe Bidenopoulos. I grew up in a heavily Irish Catholic community in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and a heavily Italian Polish community. When I say I got raised in the black church, he knows I'm not kidding. The Persian culture is amazing. As a student of the Persian culture, I probably went to shul more than many of you. I come out of the black community. The background of my family is Irish American. Not fundamentally unlike the Palestinian people. I might say raised in the synagogues in my state. Everybody in town was either Polish or Italian. I grew up feeling self-conscious. My name didn't end in an SKI. I was raised in a neighborhood where I felt self-conscious. My name didn't end in O. That's kind of how I was raised, like so many Americans of Irish heritage. In HBCU in your home state, Mr. President. Let me tell you, forget about it. That's right. That's where I got raised, man. Just like rabbis, synagogues, and Jewish community centers in your hometowns, and that's the tradition I got raised. Hard-working people, the middle class, the neighborhoods I got raised in. I was raised on GM. I was raised by Danny Noe. I was raised by a righteous Christian. I got raised on all.
So that was a lot there that he's done. He was raised in the black church. He was raised at shul. He grew up in a Puerto Rican community. He grew up Irish community. He grew up in the Polish community. He grew up in the Greek community. I'm probably missing like 5 or 6 of them, but let's just take a little listen to what he said a number of years ago on how he actually grew up.
I did not grow up in an area or community where there were large Hispanic, even small Hispanic population. I mean, it was just non-existent. And exposure and education important. It wasn't until 3 years ago I realized the extent to which Hispanic Americans have been simply the victims of prejudice in the most extreme way, as extreme as any black American in this country.
I come from the little state of Delaware. It's not like the congresswoman from New York. She's from the big state. But we have a very, in relative terms, large Puerto Rican population in Delaware, relative to our population. We have the 8th largest black population in the country, and between all minorities, we have 20% of our state is minority. And so I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community at home.
So which is the truth there, Joe? Were you raised in the Puerto Rican community? Because it looks like the time frame of the first one, I'm trying to see if there's a date or timestamp or anything on there, but no, it looks like it was probably, I don't know, the 80s or 90s that he said what he said at first, that there were no Hispanics and very, very few Hispanics in his little state of Delaware. So let's just out of curiosity here, let's just kind of do this here live. Let's see, let's go the demographics of Delaware. Let's just go to the demographics of Delaware, shall we? So, let's see. Let's just take a little listen here, okay? So the population, as of July of last year, was a little over 1 million. Let's see. I don't need that. Okay, white, 68%. Black or African alone, 23%. Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, so he was not raised on any of that. He wasn't raised in any of those places he claimed to be. I mean, he, when he went over to Maui, he pandered, and it was all about him and his sort of house fire that didn't really happen. Yes, he's just a lying sack of dog crap. Another thing that he likes to lie about is the Second Amendment, and what it entails there as well. So let's just take a little listen on to the brilliance that is Joe Biden.
Again, the Second Amendment didn't say you can own any gun you want, as big as you want. You couldn't buy a cannon when, in fact, the Second Amendment passed.
Yes, you could.
What purpose is to have a gun that a bullet can travel 5 times the speed of an ordinary bullet? Did you realize
that's not true?
The bullet out of an AR-15 travels 5 times as rapidly as a bullet shot out of any other gun. My legislation says there can be no more than 8 bullets in a round. Okay?
8 bullets in a round.
God's name needs a weapon with 100 rounds in a chamber.
100 rounds in a chamber.
Made it harder for people to buy stabilized braces. Put a pistol on a.
So hold on, I'm gonna pause it there for a minute. So 8 rounds in a chamber. You can only have 1 round in a chamber, right? And then he's talking about. Oh, this guy, 100 rounds. I would like to see that gun. 100 rounds in 1 chamber. Oh, and this is the great. He's talking about a stabilizing brace so you can shoot your gun better, right, with a pistol. Just his brilliance here. Let's just take a listen.
Brace, it turns into a gun. Makes it more. You can have a higher caliber weapon, a higher caliber bullet coming out of that gun.
So if you put a brace to stabilize your gun onto your pistol, according to him, it changes the entire gun, and it changes the caliber of that said gun to something greater. than it was before. Let's just kind of go back a little bit here.
For people to buy stabilized braces.
Braces?
Put a pistol on a brace, it turns into a gun. Makes it more.
Put a pistol on a brace. Shouldn't be the other way around.
You can have a higher caliber weapon, a higher caliber bullet coming out of that gun. It's essentially turning into a short barrel rifle.
And these people, they think that they know everything. They want to take your rights away, and then they want to get voted back into office with just stupid statements like that, like with Kamala, sorry, talking about how women didn't have a bracket until 2 years ago. They've had brackets for 40 years, 41 years, 42 years now. And then if you put a brace on a gun, it doesn't change the caliber of the bullet coming out of that gun. It doesn't. It just makes it so you can shoot it better. So, and then his whole like, whoa, while you're sick, you can do a good Joe Biden voice. That's for sure. Because when you fire an AR, it fires 5 times faster than any other bullet. Excuse me. So let's just kind of take a little look here. Let's take a look at the numbers. So a 12 gauge shotgun, let's kind of go there and then go down. So the meters per second is 564 for a 12 gauge shotgun. A 30-06, it travels 900 meters per second. 308 hunting rifle round is 823 meters per second. An AK-47, a 7.62 round, travels 715 meters. The deadly, horrific AR-15, he says, travels 5 times as faster than any other bullet, is 975 meters per second. So is that 5 times faster than all those other ones? No, it really isn't. And the amount of force that has doesn't, it doesn't have that same force, because they always say that it'll just rip your right apart. The AR-15, the 223 round, which it won't. The AK-47 round, that'll do way more damage, and the 308 and 30-06 will do immensely more damage, about 4 times as more. And then obviously a 12 gauge shotgun will do the most damage because it's a shotgun and that's what it's designed to do. So then you have the 357 Magnum, the Dirty Harry gun from Clint Eastwood. It travels 410 meters per second. The 9mm pistol, 353 meters per second. Then it goes down. it goes into some sports stuff here. So a hockey puck travels 54 meters per second and has a damage of 241. A baseball, 120 miles per hour off the bat, is traveling at 53 meters per second. That's pretty cool. Tiger Woods' drive, here we go, will travel 80 meters per second. And then a baseball pitch thrown at 100 miles an hour will travel 44 meters per second. So no, the dreaded AR-15 round, the 223 round, is not 5 times faster than any other bullet on anywhere on the planet. It's a little bit faster than the 30-06. It's because it's smaller. At the 223 round, if you're familiar with there's a political cartoon that I found, and I posted on my social media pages. It shows it's clearly showing that Donald Trump is shooting himself in the foot, but it is a revolver, which means it has a drum. It has like the 6 or 8 round drum. If you're familiar with guns at all, you know what the heck I'm talking about. So it doesn't have a clip. It has, like the Dirty Harry gun, 357 Magnum, right? So it shows this is just how stupid the left is, and they don't have any idea what the heck they're talking about. They don't have a clue what they're talking about with guns or sports or anything, because they don't care about that. Where the vast majority of Americans actually do care about sports and guns and things. But the political cartoon shows after Donald Trump shoots himself in the foot, because they're trying to make fun of him, that he's shooting himself in the foot. It shows the brass being ejected from the revolver. That doesn't happen with that type of a gun. The brass will stay inside the gun until you physically take it out and replace it with another one. So they don't have any idea what the heck they're talking about. The .223 round is just a little bit bigger than the .22. It's got a lot more power behind it, so obviously it makes it, a lot faster, but it doesn't mean that it's causing the most damage. As far as the damage goes, it is 1, 2, 3, 4. It is 5th on this list here. Obviously, a 12-gauge shotgun is going to do the most damage. That's what it's designed to do. Followed very closely by the 30-06 and then the .308. And then the AK round does way more damage than an AR round. So, yes, they don't have any idea what the heck they're talking about as far as anything goes on the planet. But I like to know, because it is an election year and we need all the votes we can get. But just to show just the fact that he's an habitual liar. So here's a little clip of about the inflation. He was talking about, he was interviewed about inflation last year, and this is what he had to say. So the first thing he says is it's going off of June of 21, right? So the year that he came into office is 2021. Oh my gosh, it feels like it was only like 3 years ago, and it feels like it's been at least 10 since we've had relief or reprieve from the oppressive policies that this guy has, and all of them. But here's what he had to say about inflation.
Inflation. The overwhelming consensus is going to pop up a little bit and then go back down. No one's talking about this great deal. Taking blame for inflation? No. Why not? Because it was already there when I got here, man.
They don't take responsibility for any of the problems that they've caused. Not a single one of the problems that they have caused, they take responsibility for. And people are waking up. People are realizing just how awful the policies are, how awful they are as people. So here is a woman who was a former Democrat who switched over and changed, saw kind of the light of the day and what was really going on.
Choose to leave the Democratic Party.
But sadly, the Democratic Party has become a party that is so consumed by their desire for power, this insatiable hunger for power, that they are willing to destroy our republic, our democracy, our freedom, just so that they can...
Sorry, just one. She got it right the first time. We're a republic, we're not a democracy.
Try to hold on to power and gain more power. The Democratic Party has become a party that is opposed to freedom, that is opposed to the central and foundational principles that exist within our founding documents and that serve as the identity of who we are as Americans and what this country is supposed to be about. It has become a party that is controlled by this elitist cabal of warmongers. And we see it through their racializing of everything. We see this through their defund the police mission. We see this through their open border policies. We see this through how in their education policy they are failing our kids.
Yep. Can you argue with any of that? That they are failing at everything. Just look at California. The first time ever California has had a negative population growth. Gavin Newsom has destroyed California just like he did San Francisco. Destroyed it completely. In fact, let's see, hold on. Let me find this other. So here's the brilliance of Gavin Newsom, right? When he became mayor of San Francisco, this is, let's see if his little promises have come to pass.
A 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness in San Francisco. How are you going to solve homelessness? What are you going to do as a new mayor? And I said, well, what are you going to do? Focus on a housing first mile, direct access to housing, shelter, soft sleep, housing with wraparound and support services. Solve homelessness. Homelessness absolutely can be solved. Laid out a detailed homeless strategy. There's been no intentionality on homelessness in the state for decades. It's not been a focus. I don't think we can solve homelessness. I know we can solve homelessness. We will reduce street homelessness quickly and humanely through emergency action. The highest investment the state's ever made is $1 billion on homelessness. We are poised to pass a budget in the next few hours that will provide $12 billion of investment. I can literally quantify 58,000 people that we got off the streets last year, and none of you would believe it. The state has not made progress in the last 2 decades as it relates to homelessness. Why? We're not interested in funding failure. We're not interested in failing more efficiently when it comes to the issue of homelessness and the crisis on the street.
So, did he do it? Did he solve homelessness in California or San Francisco? The answer is no. It's a big, fat no. He didn't do anything. He made it much worse, in fact. You know, when Biden and his boss came to San Francisco last year for that big, pact thing, whatever it was, they cleaned up the streets for that, and they were waving the stupid Chinese flag, proud, with no American flags whatsoever, by the way. Yeah, so they cleaned up the streets for that event, and then for regular Americans who live there, yeah, no, they're not going to do that for them. Not at all. Because heaven forbid, there'll be homeless people and garbage and just literal crap on the streets there in San Francisco for Xi to see. We can't have that, but we can have all of that and much, much more and much worse things for regular American people to see. That's just perfectly fine. Is anybody really fooled by any of this? And there's some people. Oh yeah, I love the Democrats. Democrats are great. Biden's done great things. But really what it's about is just how much they just have been fooled into thinking that Trump is this awful, evil dictator person who's going to put people back into chains and destroy whatever lives they're living. Yeah, that would be happening right now. People aren't actually in chains yet, but they're sure trying to. People are still in jail with no trials for just walking around the Capitol on January 6th. There's a guy that's been in there for 3 years without a trial. He hasn't even had a hearing yet, and he has been pretty much in solitary confinement for the last 3 years. That's what you call a political prisoner. And it's just horrible. How do you sit there and think, oh yeah, the Democrats are doing great? Here's another example from Seattle, because these sanctuary cities, these no-law cities, are getting exactly what they voted for.
Break-ins at this point, we have a glass guy on speed dial.
Do you ever think if you keep getting broken into, you might have to leave?
Not just that, yeah. I mean, it definitely does take a big toll on us when we do get breaking in, because the damages are just the prices are just so high, and it keeps happening over and over again.
Is it hard to be a small business in Seattle?
Yes, it's incredibly hard.
Next door is the Singing Barber. We first told you about them weeks ago after they were hit. At the time, their owner had placed for sale signs, thinking about his future in Seattle. Stylist Ashley Schoenberger said it mostly comes down to accountability.
There's a certain amount of
opportunistic attitude when it comes to that, because they know that there's probably not going to be any sort of recourse.
SPD data shows that this neighborhood is already starting the year off in a bad spot. Property crime totals for the first 2 months surpass the same time frame last year.
If you had a message to the city leaders, what would you say to them?
Hopefully we can get this resolved, because the crime rates are just getting out of hand.
So that was Seattle, a good example from Seattle, right? But insert any Democrat-run city, and it's the same problem. The same problem. They're not tough on crime. They let criminals go. It's New York, Chicago, San Francisco, LA, Detroit, any of these places. The people that suffer are the regular people, not the criminals that commit the crimes. But these are... This is who they are, though. This is who they are. This is who... They don't care about Americans. That all they care about, like the lady said before, is about power. And it doesn't matter who they hurt along the way. It doesn't matter any of those things. If you're in the way, they're going to run you over, and they don't care. But, yes. And then everything, of course, is Trump's fault. Like always. You know, the economy is awful, and that's Trump's fault. The border is awful, that's Trump's fault. Insert whatever, it's Trump's fault. I'm going to play this clip here. Sorry, there is language, so if there's kids around, just kind of beware. There's a few explicit swear words in this, so just warning on this. But this is just how this is insane these people really are.
As soon as he takes the oath,
Speaking of Trump,
he will have generals walk down the steps of the Capitol. He will take a hammer
oh yeah,
and break the glass where the Constitution is, and he will tear it up in our faces.
so hold on. First, to get to you don't go down steps to see the Constitution. It's in a big room there. So, and then taking a hammer isn't gonna. I mean, do we learn nothing from National Treasure? You can shoot bullets at this glass, and it does, you get a little crack in it. It doesn't break. So just, sorry to be stickler about some things like that, but yeah, you can't break that glass with a hammer.
And say now. I'm the king of the fucking world.
I'm the king.
You will bow down, bitches. He will punish everybody that didn't vote you. Let me tell y'all how I know this shit.
Oh, tell us.
I know it because I know what mental illness looks like.
Well, that's for darn sure.
That mania is unstoppable.
Okay. See what?
This motherfucker's Hitler.
Oh. Okay.
He didn't come to play.
This is just how messed up. These people really are. But yeah, the minorities are switching sides. There's huge numbers of them that are supportive of Trump and not Biden anymore, which is great, which is fantastic. It's awesome. Good. He's gonna march down with his generals. Is that like what Biden did? What was it, Philadelphia last year, the year before, where he had the two Marines and then the red lights in the background, looking like Hitler? Is that what you're talking about? That he's gonna do that. I mean, Biden has pretty much done what she just described. So, yes. And then also some other news about Biden. His daughter's journal had come out, and I wanted to talk a bit about this. It is just really weird. It is really, really disturbing. It is really weird. So this is straight out of her diary. She said, "I am so afraid of him coming in the shower with me that I've waited until late at night to take a shower." And then she said, "Before, my father molested me many times in the shower." But then there's nothing. There's no court case. There's no criminal case. There's no anything for this. But let's sit there and believe E. Jean Carroll's story when it just happens to be the story that she says was an episode of Law and Order. And the dress that she supposedly was wearing hadn't been invented yet. But let's believe her. And who said rape is sexy to Anderson Cooper? But let's believe her. And then there's no traction at all for this Ashley Biden thing in her diary. This is where we are in America right now. This is where we are. Yeah, there's no traction for that. There's no looking into that. There's no anything. But there's this harebrained story that this crazy lady is talking about. And then she goes on to say like how she's going to spend the money. She's going to go get new wardrobes, her and then one of the MSNBC ladies. They're going to go get new wardrobes. And she's like, we're going to go shopping. It's just awful. It's just so bad. What is going on with these people? Now, I wanted to get to this other thing here about. So Dr. Phil had some pro-Palestinian people on his show, and then the son of a Hamas leader. I've talked about him before. Last year when this was going on, Mossab Hassan Youssef. Hopefully I said that right. Here's a quote from what he said. "It is very disappointing to see Americans supporting Hamas and thinking that Hamas is a cool thing." Because that's kind of really what it's boiled down to here with this. Hamas would torture them and massacre them with no mercy. They call themselves useful idiots. Because that's exactly what they are. I don't understand this whole hate Israel thing. And I've said this many times before. I don't understand it. There's many, I'm sitting here ragging on the Bidens and Democrat policies, but I don't hate them enough to go out there and massacre them. I absolutely hate their policies and hate what they're doing to the country. That is for sure. But I don't have the hate that it would take to go out there and just start physically killing them. No, I don't have. That doesn't ever cross. I'd like, there's some times where I like to, I just want to, show my fist to them and, really close to their face. Maybe a little tap with it, but there isn't a thing that they would do that it would want me to go out there and do what Hamas has done to the Israelis and the Jews. And then this whole movement that this whole pro-Palestinian movement, especially here in America, I don't understand it. It just baffles my mind that that's what is going on. Let me play this other thing here that I wasn't planning to, but so Fox News caught up with Rashida Tlaib, the horrible, awful person that she is, and confronted her. So here's what that exchange was. It was quite pleasant, as you might expect.
At a rally in your district, people were chanting "Death to America." Do you condemn? Do you condemn condemn chants of death to America?
I don't talk to people that use racist tropes.
Why can't you just say whether or not you condemn people chanting death to America? Why are you afraid to talk to Fox?
Fox News is not listen, using racist tropes towards my community is what Fox News is about, and I don't talk to Fox News.
Is death to America racist?
Fox News.
Is chanting death to America racist?
I'm talking about your guys' racist tropes. You know, you guys know exactly what you do. And I know you're Islamophobic, but you guys gotta go deal with it on your own self. You're not gonna use me.
And then she gets in an elevator and goes away. Can't answer the question, though. She sits there and gets defensive because, does she believe the same thing that they do? Sure seems like it. It sure seems like she believes the same thing as they do, because her and then Ilham Omar, they get all upset and their panties all in a wad when something happens to the Palestinians that they caused themselves. What's going on there is the result of what happened on October 7th. So there's consequences to your actions. They're all upset and all up in arms about what's going on over there. And are there innocent Palestinians affected by this? Absolutely. I mean, with any war, with any conflict, with any of these types of situations, there's always the innocents that are hurt along with those that deserve it. But what they did was horrendous. When they took innocent people who were just celebrating in a music festival, and it was for a Palestinian cause, if I'm not mistaken, and they just shot them up and killed them, took the women, raped them, and then paraded their bodies around town like they had just bagged a deer or trophy, something like that. That's what these people did to the Israelis and the Jews. And so Dr. Phil, he had Mr. Youssef, I'll call him Hassan, on his show with some obviously pro-Palestinian women, I think, who are Americans, on his show, and this was their exchange. So here we go.
That violence, and we are first asked to condemn violence. I find that there's a sense of hypocrisy in those questions when our suffering is not being recognized, and the first thing we're asked is to condemn.
What do you think Israel was going to do when Hamas cuts a hole in the fence and comes over the top and kills 1,300 people? What did you think they should have done?
I think they have every right to go in combat with Hamas, but I don't think they have the right for 92% of the death count to be civilians.
If they burn an infant in a crib, do you see that as a moral equivalent to a collateral death from a bomb being dropped as an act of war?
They have explicitly targeted civilian areas that have been marked as civilian areas. Israel has the registry for every person in Gaza.
And if that's where the enemy is hiding, do they have a right to attack them?
No, they do not have the right to kill.
So that is the problem here, is that these Hamas cowards will sit there and hide in schools, they'll hide in mosques, they'll hide in hospitals, they'll do all these horrible things and then hide in these civilian areas, knowing that if something happens that's bad, they win a PR campaign. That yes, the media will go right along with it and say, look at what Israel has done. They bombed a mosque. They bombed a hospital. But who put them in danger in the first place? It wasn't the Israelis. It was Hamas and the Palestinians that go along with them.
There are some things that are just fundamental human decency. And when I ask you if what happened on October 7th is something you condemn, and you say, well, you have to look at that by looking at hundreds of years of conflict. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's either right or it's wrong, and it was wrong, and I don't need 100 years of conflict to know it was wrong.
The fact of the matter is that Hamas, yes, did take innocent life. Why did Hamas take away innocent life? Why was Hamas platformed? Why was Hamas funded? Why is Hamas empowered to take away innocent life?
Let me tell you something. when somebody comes over a fence and goes into someone's house and burns their infant in its crib, I don't give a damn why they did it. It's wrong. I've read it that the charter of Hamas is to eliminate the Jewish race, beginning with Israel, but not stopping with Israel, wiping them off the face of the earth. Is that true?
This is true, but it does not end there. Now we have the problem of the pro-Palestine who are actually giving Hamas cover. They are participants in the crime. In fact, since October 7, I personally don't differentiate between Hamas and what's so-called Palestinians. Because actually there is no Palestinians. There are tribes. There is a tribe of Hamas, and there is a tribe of the Islamic Jihad, and there is a tribe of Khalil, and there is a tribe of Nablus, and each one has different interests, and all of them are conflicted. If they did not have Israel as the common enemy, they would kill each other. This is the reality of what's so-called Palestine. You don't know what Palestine is. Actually, in fact, the keffiyah that you are wearing, this is just a statement to show that you really lack the authenticity to represent the case. And what's so-called the cause, you know, this is a human problem.
So you just...
The cause must die. I think enough is enough. And now it's proven, and you are helping Hamas to prove it to the world, that Palestine depends on the destruction of the state of Israel. And this is not acceptable, and we are not going to agree to it. And I tell you something, for the next 10 or 20 years, the Palestinian people will pay the bill that Hamas is caused today, and most likely in blood.
To you, Hamas and Palestinians are the same, they're one and the same?
After October 7, yes, there is no difference.
Really?
The vast majority of the Palestinian people support Hamas.
Really?
This is a fact. This is proven by statistics, and your silence now. You cannot even condemn Hamas and say that what they did on October 7 was an act of a savage group. You don't have that power.
Said I condemn.
On what authority do you speak? You only speak on the authority of Hamas propaganda.
No, why do you say that I'm speaking on the authority of Hamas propaganda?
Because if you were a decent human being, you can say that the thousands were killed on October 7. That was a crime against humanity. It was a genocide.
Very true. Very, very true. We are truly living in the last days, my friends. We are truly living in the days that were foretold to us in the scriptures. And kind of with that, I like to go and talk a little about the eclipse that happened here. There's a clip from The View that I was going to play, but I don't think I will. Just they're comparing, they said that the global warming caused the eclipse, and just some other stupid crap like earthquakes and the cicadas that come out every 17 years on the East Coast. Anyway, so that's just, there's a clip notes of what this thing was. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the eclipse here and the stuff that's happened with that. There was, obviously it went dark here for a little while. But I went over, I worked that day. And then in the afternoon, I went over to my parents' house, and I was there. My mom's two brothers and one of my aunts came down from Utah, and so two of my uncles and one of my aunts came down here from Utah to watch the eclipse. And we were kind of joking the day before that, hopefully it's not cloudy or else they came here for nothing. But it turned out there were some clouds, and it was kind of sketchy there for a little bit. Whether or not there were some big clouds that rolled by, and it was like, I think the thing was supposed to happen at 1:40, and it was like 11:36 or 1:36. And There were some clouds, and we're like, oh my gosh, we have 4 minutes off this cloud move. But to sit there with the, of course, you got to wear the glasses, or else your eyes are going to burn out and they're going to burst into flames. But to sit there and watch the moon move across the sun, because I've seen eclipses, like this before, but not a totality eclipse. That I've never seen that before. In person, you hear about them, you read about them or whatever, but I had never seen one up, in person like this. And I was sitting there watching this. You use the glasses and you see the sun, and it's amazing how dark those glasses are. I mean, obviously they're supposed to, so you can look at the sun. But I sat there and I watched the moon, and it took a little while for it to completely go over. But as it was moving across, it was just an amazing experience. We had the church that I go to every 6 months. They do what's called a general conference, and so that it was that same weekend, the weekend prior to Monday, where Monday was the eclipse, and then so last Saturday and Sunday we did this general conference where the prophet and the leaders of the church, the apostles and things, they get up and they speak to us for 2 days. In 2-hour stints. So I was kind of like we're all kind of on this spiritual high, if you would, listening to that. We were just spiritually energized, and so I was sitting there watching this eclipse, watching this moon move across the sky, move across the sun. It would get like a Pac-Man shape, and then it would get kind of like a crescent moon, and there was like a little sliver, and I was just sitting there coming off that spiritual high, just kind of amazed at how great and how magnificent and wonderful the creations of God are. And this is just this little thing that happens, just an eclipse. It wasn't some big supernova, or wasn't some big whatever that's out there in the cosmos. But just to sit there and watch the moon come across the sun. And look around, we were looking around. It got significantly cooler, probably 10, 15 degrees cooler than what it was. And it got darker. Obviously, if you block out a light, things are going to get darker. But just to sit there and experience that, excuse me, was truly an amazing experience. It was an amazing experience to sit there and to look out on the world, on the area that I was in, the world, the backyard of my parents' house, and watch as our moon crossed in the path of the sun and totally blacked it out. And then as that happened, if you wore the glasses, you couldn't see the eclipse at that point, so you had to take them off and look at it. And my eyes are still there, so you don't have to worry about that. But it was just an amazing experience to sit there and watch the hand of God in what He had created between the sun, the moon, our earth. I mean, it was an amazing spiritual experience, because it was that He has created all of this, and He cares about every single one of us, in the fact that He wants all of us to be happy, and the country and the things that are going on in the world. There are a lot of things that aren't very happy. People are not very happy, and they're turning to things that aren't going to solve that problem. In fact, they're trying to do everything that they can, it seems like, to get rid of God and to persecute Christianity. I talked about last week with the Easter thing, making Trans Visibility Day Easter. No, you don't do that to Christians' most sacred holiday. You don't do that. But it was just an incredible experience, and it was just, the stars came out as it got darker. We could see the stars, and it was 2 o'clock, almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was just an awesome experience. I would highly recommend, if there's the next eclipse that goes across the United States like this won't happen again until 2045, so make your plans. It starts or it goes from Florida all the way to, I think, Northern California, going across kind of like a curve like that up through Oklahoma and Utah and Nevada. But so if you're in that area, and even if you're not, please go make the opportunity to go see this, because it is truly an amazing experience to sit there and watch all that happen. And the fact that there is a supreme creator and not just some bang that happened just because. Sorry, I'm out of breath here from being sick. I haven't talked as much in a couple days, but it was just, it was an incredible experience to be able to see that and to just watch the heavens change and watch things like this. And, you know, we're told to look for signs in the heavens. You know, we're told to look for these types of things. And everybody's joking, it's the rapture, people are going to go up. But, and we were kind of joking around, like, what about the ancients that had no idea what the heck was going on? That must have freaked them out. All of a sudden, it's the middle of the day, and it's getting cooler, and, you know, it's getting darker, and then because, you know, obviously they didn't have, you know, their solar glasses to look at the sun and be like, oh, hey, the moon's covering the sun, and then all of a sudden it just goes black and dark like at night, and then it goes back. You know, I mean, that would freak you out if you had no idea what the heck was going on. But it was truly an amazing experience. Well worth. I haven't spent any money, obviously, since I live here. But if you did, it was truly, it would have been amazing. It would have been worth it to see all that. But yes, so pray that people's hearts are softened and that we can take the country back from those that seek to do us harm here in November. And I'm not saying Trump's perfect. Not at all. But I do think he obviously did a great job the 4 years he was in. And right now, with the two that we have, and I know people aren't exactly excited about that, but he will do a much better job than the doofus brains that we have there right now. And go out and vote, please. Tell your friends. Tell the people, if you're out of the United States, sorry, this part doesn't really apply to you, but well, vote in your own countries. You know, vote the conservatives into your own countries. You know, it's happening around the world. Argentina, because I'm taking some sick medicine, my brain's in the fog, but Argentina's the only one that I can come up with right now. But other countries, Italy voted in a conservative, an Italy first president or prime minister or whatever they call them. But yes, if in other countries, vote for conservative people. If you're able to vote, do that. And if you're not able to vote, well, maybe it's time that you do change that so you can vote and so that you are not oppressed. Because this wokeism, this elitism, this liberalism, it doesn't do anything for it. It doesn't do anything for us, but makes our lives a heck of a lot worse and less prosperity for all of us. So hopefully you enjoyed the show. I'm going to sign off and get some rest here for the rest of the weekend. But hopefully you have a great weekend. Happy Friday. And I will talk with you next week. Bye-bye.